To my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, let's be honest with immigrants who deserve better than what you're offering them. Don't welcome immigrants if you plan to reject them. If you keep pushing your bigoted H.R. 2 bill, then also pass this bill. I've taken the liberty of drafting it for you. It removes the Statue of Liberty, our largest symbol that tells people to come here. This is who you are, removing the fabric of America. So I want to know which Republican who supports and voted for H.R. 2 will introduce this bill. If you're going to support H.R. 2 and these bigoted measures, the least you can do is not be a damn liar. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So since Republican politicians have no plan to address the real issues of this country, low wages, high prices, etc., their leaders at the highest levels have dipped into the fascist playbook to blame communities and to blame minorities and to blame immigrants for the issues that Americans are facing. And these days, the more fear you can stoke, the better. I mean, one of my colleagues, Marjorie Taylor Greene, has called immigrants terrorists. And many on the right take their cues from their top leader, former President Donald Trump. From 2015 to just this past Monday night in Iowa, he has used fear and racism to spread false narratives. He said that immigrants are, quote, poisoning the blood of our country, end quote, echoing the same language used by Hitler to describe Jewish people. Mr. Beer, why is it grossly incorrect to paint immigrants as criminals, and why is this rhetoric not only false, but dangerous?
Look, U.S. Census Bureau data is quite clear. Immigrants are about half as likely to be incarcerated in the United States as others. If you look at the illegal immigrant population as we have at the Cato Institute, it's, again, it's about 30% less. And that includes all the people that we're putting in cages just because they're immigrants. So it's not true that they're more likely to end up in our criminal justice system, burdening our courts and our police. And also, if you look at area studies that look at what happens to crime rates when an infusion of immigrants comes in, we've seen during the 1990s, especially when you had this huge wave, far exceeding anything that's happened recently, of immigrants come into major cities. There was this rebirth in the economy in those areas. They started businesses, they rejuvenated the communities, filled vacant housing, and that brought crime rates down as well. So there are multiple mechanisms by which immigrants reduce crime and make for a more secure community.
Of course, thank you. Mr. Beer, are you familiar with stochastic terrorism? Stochastic terrorism is to provoke random acts of ideological motivated violence that are statistically predictable. Last year, a gunman murdered 23 people and injured another 22 in El Paso, Texas, using the same rhetoric of invasion and the great replacement theory that we hear from Donald Trump and many leaders on the right. Mr. Beer, what's the point of stoking this type of hate towards immigrants?
Look, there's only two reasons why you use the word invasion. The first is you want to justify violence against them. Otherwise, you'd say it's a violation of the law, it's illegal, you want a law enforcement response. Invasion calls for a military violent response to these people. The second reason is to invoke invasion under the constitutional clauses in which that is used. There's two. One, states can respond to an invasion unilaterally. We know what an invasion under the Constitution means. James Madison said an invasion is an act of war. So we know what a real invasion is. We know the difference between people coming to serve us and work for us versus an act of war.
So this language fuels a lot of these hateful, violent acts we've seen.
Oh, absolutely.
So I just hosted a roundtable in my district because my constituents are terrified about the talk that's going on up here. An amazing community leader and pastor, Father Jose, brought up a really good point that migrants don't just want to come here. We told them to come here. And Mr. Beer, the Statue of Liberty, situated next to Ellis Island, an iconic American symbol, reads, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door." As Americans, we must reject hypocrisy and lead with love. And as long as Republican officials are more interested in peddling hate, the solutions and to fixing this problem in our immigration system will only get worse. Thank you. I yield back.